All right, dude, we are live again for the second time today. I had to restart the stream because the beginning was just, there was a whole lot of dead air. I had to step away for some time, and there was a whole lot of like disconnection here and there. And yeah, just it was a huge mess. What's up, guys? This is Dem Keys, and today we are going to continue learning Godot. Um, oh, okay. I think we are back. Hopefully. Yeah, I think we're back. Yeah. Um, I have no idea what's going on. My connection is having a bit of a um I don't know what's going on. I guess I'll look into it after stream. In the meantime, let's try to get through at least an hour and a half of streaming. Give me a second. Yeah, let's try to get through at least an hour and a half. Hopefully, in one stream, hopefully in one piece. If the stream ends up disconnecting and the stream gets cut off, then I'll have to stitch it together manually later on. But yeah, okay. So um, we are gonna be we're gonna continue learning about Godot. In yesterday's stream, towards the end, when I was trying to run one of the scenes that I had set up, which is actually this scene, which I have right now open in Godot, where I created a Node 2D scene, and within that I put a sprite 2D, a mesh instance 3D, a camera 2D, and a camera 3D. So the idea was basically to um, experiment and understand how 2D and 3D rendering is working, because coming from a Unity background where everything is pretty much 3D, even 2D is basically just being projected in 3D space, because everything is 3D there. So I was having a hard time I was having a hard time connecting or understanding how 2D and 3D are working in the case of Godot. And it seemed like there were like two separate systems at play. And it turned out that, yeah, that is the case. There are two separate systems. The reason I was having trouble initially was because I kept trying to understand how both of them are working together, but I kept trying to understand it as if they were both being handled by the exact same system. In the case of Godot, they're not being handled by the same system. They're being handled by two separate rendering systems, and 3D gets rendered first, then 2D is rendered and layered on top of that, and any UI is also rendered within the 2D space. So both of these are rendered separately using separate systems, but they can be displayed together. And understanding that has really helped me, well, understand how things are working here quite a bit. This is one of the multiple things that I was having trouble understanding previously when I'd looked into when I was learning Godot a couple of years ago. This is one of the things that I had trouble understanding. I was having trouble understanding, like, where and how 2D is happening, where and how 3D is happening, and do they actually come together? Like what's going on there? And now I get it. So now, I mean, I'm happy about that because now we can make progress with this. Hold on, what is this? I just noticed this thing. Okay, so minus seems to be doing something here. I need to look into um yeah, I need to look into what this thing does. I need to look at the documentation for hacker mind map and see what exactly this is doing. But anyways, we can save this. And why was I here? I wanted to look at this. Yes. Okay. Oh, to get started, set up simple YT upload script that uses placeholder data for description and, well, placeholder data and basic logic for deciding name, description, etc. Later, actually, I don't need to mention that. Oh, you know what? Yeah. Um, Once metadata generation logic is set up, then update YT upload script to use that data, to use data from metadata instead. Okay, done. Great. So now we can come back here. Oh, something interesting happened. Okay. So on my current laptop that I'm streaming from, I'm streaming off of Windows, but I also have Ubuntu installed. I installed Ubuntu recently, and it's basically a dual boot system now. So now we have Windows and Ubuntu, and I can boot into any one of them, whichever one I choose. So yesterday, I was doing some work on this laptop. I was doing some work on the Windows side. I had the Windows terminal open, and I had my Firefox browser open. Right. I did my work, and then I okay. I think we are good. Hopefully we hopefully we remain good. Yeah, I just noticed it was my USB to Ethernet adapter that kept randomly disconnecting, and because of that, I was having these disconnection issues. So hopefully things should be better now. Holy shit, dude. I have so many tech issues when I stream. And I feel like a lot of these issues arise. So, okay, I have my mic issue, which I still don't entirely know if it's because of streaming off of the laptop, but like there is that interference thing that's being picked up. I haven't managed to isolate the exact cause just yet. I don't know if I will isolate it, to be honest. Um, but what I do want to do is try this out on, as in try connecting this to my desktop and run things from there. The problem is there's only so much that I can run over there. If that makes sense. There's only so much that I can run there. I can't just, I can't what was I saying? Yeah, there's only so much that I can run there before it becomes incredibly heavy and everything starts to fail. Um, I do need to check and see if I have these disconnection issues on Ubuntu as well, as in Ubuntu on this same laptop, because I don't think I've had those issues yet on the Ubuntu side. I'm curious about this. Hold on, let me check. Let me ask Gemini if that is like a possibility. Hey, so I have a laptop that doesn't have. Oh, I have a laptop. Yeah, okay, I have a laptop that doesn't have an Ethernet port. So I use a USB to Ethernet adapter for it. Wait, I use a USB to Ethernet adapter connected to a USB hub connected to the laptop. Uh, the wait, the problem is every now and then I'll have issues where uh, the the adapter seems to disconnect because, well, no, where the Ethernet, let's just say the Ethernet seems to disconnect, and the only way I can stabilize that is by disconnecting the adapter from the USB hub, basically turning off the specific ports switch and then reconnecting. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't. Okay, this is all happening on Windows. On this same laptop, I also have Ubuntu installed in dual boot. I'm wondering, and I have no idea how this would even work. Will I or would I have the same random disconnect issues on Ubuntu as well? This is a classic tech mystery setup. The short answer is it's a coin flip, but for very specific technical reasons. Okay, whether the issue persists on Ubuntu depends entirely on whether the root cause is hardware related, as in the physical connection slash power, or software related, meaning Windows drivers and power management. Okay, okay. Here's a breakdown of how this usually plays out when switching to Linux. If it's a driver or software glitch, um, likely fix. Okay, Windows is notorious for selective suspend and power saving features that can put USB ports and network adapters to sleep at inconvenient times. The Ubuntu difference, Ubuntu uses completely different drivers built into the Linux kernel. If the Windows driver is if the Windows driver is poorly written or has a memory leak, that causes the adapter to crash. Ubuntu will likely be rock solid because it handles the hardware communication differently. Verdict, if Ubuntu works perfectly, your adapter is fine, and your Windows driver slash power settings are the culprit. Okay? If it's a power draw issue, likely persists. Okay. Right. You mentioned you're using a USB hub. USB to Ethernet adapters are surprisingly power hungry. I did not know that. I actually did not know that. Okay, they're surprisingly power hungry because they are constantly processing packets. The bottleneck, if your hub isn't powered, meaning it doesn't have its own wall plug, it's drawing all its electricity from a single laptop port. When the adapter spikes in power usage, the hub might momentarily undervolt, causing the disconnect. The Ubuntu difference, Linux can't fix physics. If the hub is starving for power, Ubuntu will also lose the connection when the hardware resets itself. If it's a handshake issue, sometimes the chipset inside those cheap adapters just gets confused or overheats. When you flip the switch on the hub, you're performing a hard power cycle on the adapter's chip. The Ubuntu difference, if the firmware on the adapter itself is buggy, it'll crash regardless of the OS. How to test this effectively? Check the logs. If it disconnects in Ubuntu, open the terminal and apply so and so. You know what? Okay, I'm gonna keep this open, and I need to test this out on Ubuntu later on. Yeah, yeah. Okay, now, give me a second. Let me connect my phone charger to my phone so I can keep the phone alive as long as I'm streaming and I can still see the chat. Okay, all right. So, man, today's stream has not gone how I thought it was gonna go. We are like 43 minutes in, and I don't know, a good like 15 minutes of that was probably spent with tech issues, random disconnects and stuff. Anyways, it is what it is. Dude, I had this idea because I was thinking about how I could offload my VTuber app to some other system, or well, offload it to a different hardware. And let me just do something here. Okay, yeah, I was thinking of ways to offload my VTuber app to a different system, and I got this idea. What if I somehow tried to um what if I somehow tried to, run this in the terminal, maybe on an embedded device. So something ESP32 powered. I'll run it there, have all of the processing happen there, all of the rendering and everything happens there, and then that gets moved. It gets transferred over to the the desktop, and it just gets streamed there. So it's not being rendered there. That rendering power is not going to be used. I'm going to use the ESP32 for that, but that's going to be like, how would I even go about doing that? Like, what's that setup going to be like? Okay, all right. So stream disconnected, stream crashed, and now I'm going to have to stitch the two VODs together. That sucks. Anyways, we're gonna continue with what I was talking about. So, okay, I had this idea, right? What if I tried to move the rendering my for my VTuber application over to the ESP32? So I can have I even have like a mic module, so I can have something that makes or I can build something that makes that displays an audio reactive VTuber model. I'll have to see how to go about like setting things up. I don't yet know like how I want to approach this. Um, oh, let me look this up real quick. ESP32 3D graphics. ESP32, actually ESP32 Rust 3D graphics. While the ESP32 is resource constrained for complex 3D graphics, it's possible to implement basic 3D rendering in Rust using software rasterization libraries optimized for embedded systems. Okay, let's take a look. Let's see what options we have. Because okay, the idea that I have is this. Okay, I build a device which can render the VTuber avatar, and it can what was I gonna say? Yeah, okay. I build a device which can render the VTuber avatar. I still don't know how I want to go about doing this. Do I want to set up a terminal based thing, or do I want to set up a 3D kind of thing? I'll have to see how I want to set that whole thing up. Um, what was I saying? I was talking about the ESP32 and rendering the VTuber avatar on it. I was talking about how like I haven't decided how I want to set the whole thing up. I don't remember where I was going with this, but okay. Some of my options are um, I could do it. I could do 3D graphics. I could also do 3D graphics rendered in a terminal, and then have that terminal be somehow streamed over to a terminal on on the desktop. So maybe I can write a Rust application that basically reads this entire like frame of the terminal and renders that, and then that can be part of my setup here. The way that I've got the way that I've where was I going with this? Also, I think we are disconnecting again. Hold on. I just noticed the matrix rain stopped. Uh, hold on. Did this thing like crash or something? It seems like the matrix rain froze. Okay, I think we are good now. Right. Okay, so the idea is this, okay? I'll find a way to render it onto the ESP32, do all of the calculations and rendering and everything on the ESP32 itself. Um, it shouldn't be that heavy if I can manage to do something like very, very bare bones. It shouldn't be that heavy. Then, and this is what's going to be the challenging part, I need to find a way to get a frame representation of that, of whatever is being rendered, and then send that over, either over the wire or over the air to my desktop, where where I have the Kitty terminal running, and I have like all of these other windows open with like the Matrix Rain and the Tmux window and all of that. I can have one of the sections be a separate terminal for capturing this frame and rendering it. Either that, or I can try to just I can try to directly send like a video feed or an RTMP feed or something. Basically, I can find a way to send the video frame itself. Or I could come up with like an encoding mechanism of some sort. No, I'm not going to come up with the encoding. I'm going to come up with a way that I can use an encoding mechanism of some sort, and then just stream the video over to this side. Though I feel like if I go a different route, if I go 2D, yeah. What if I went 2D? If I go 2D, I'm gonna be able to. Though I kind of like what's going on here. So I do like having all this movement going on. Um, I could try rendering 2D to 3D, sorry, 3D to 2D, um, or specifically to like ASCII, and then try and display that in the terminal. That's one thing that I could do. Anyways, the point is, I could try offloading the entire VTuber rendering thing onto the ESP32 for the sake of having a reactive avatar. I can also use the mic module that I have for the ESP32, and then I can, after all the rendering is done, I can just pass that info over to the application on the Ubuntu desktop, and then that can render the entire thing. So that's not going to put a significant load on. Hopefully, that's not going to put a significant load on the desktop. And yeah, yeah. I need to wait. Let me look into this. Uh, graphics, 3D graphics demo. Okay, That's various graphic examples. ESP32 box examples. Okay. Graphics demo. Okay. What about rendering? What about 3D? Right. Um, breakout game on so and so. Okay, okay. Advanced techniques for using ESP32 Rust graphics library. Let's look that up because there is an embedded graphics crate. Sorry. Well, yeah, it's a crate that implements. It gives you a bunch of like the traits that something that's adding graphic support for ESP32 should be able to implement. But what this library provides a high performance implementation that uses direct memory access to drive the display with minimal CPU overhead. Okay. What about, okay, there's embedded graphics. Within embedded graphics, do they have something that I could use? Embedded graphics library for small hardware displays. You know what? Hold on. What if I don't display anything on the ESP32 itself? What if I'm just rendering everything on the... So the idea initially was that I'm gonna render everything onto the ESP32 display, which is some kind of TFT display, I think. I'm gonna render it onto the ESP32's display, and whatever is being rendered there, I'm then gonna capture that frame and send it over to the computer where it's going to be rendered, and it's going to be a much smaller thing as well. It's not going to be that high resolution, which, to be fair, my model isn't necessarily always that big on screen anyways, so I don't think that should be too much of an issue. I am tempted to try out the terminal avatar approach, because if I do go with that approach, then I could possibly use... Actually, I should explore what all is possible with embedded graphics. Okay, so ESP32 Rust embedded graphics. Let me look that up. Shit, we are supposed to be doing Godot stuff now. Uh, I don't know. Okay. Embedded graphics. Okay. Display images. Where is the embedded graphics repo? Let's open up the repo and see what's going on there. Uh, ESP32 embedded. Why am I not finding it? Is was it not called embedded graphics? Yeah, there is embedded graphics specifically. Then why is it so hard to find this? All right, found it. Okay, so it gives you a couple of primitives, right? It gives you lines, rectangles, circles, ellipses, arcs, sectors, triangles, polylines, rounded rectangles, text, and monospaced fonts. Okay, great, awesome. Now, built on top of this was where was it? There was what was the thing called? I forgot what it was called. It was a Ratatouille thing. I think it was called Mouse Food. I think that's what it was called, mouse food. Let me see, because embedded graphics did mention mouse food in their thing as one of the things that's supporting embedded graphics. Can't remember though. Give me a second here. Also, I want to see if there's like any animations that they can show, just so I can get an idea of the frame rate. Okay, there's embedded graphics core. Let me open up the... Okay, I know it's called mouse food. Why am I waiting for the thing to show up? So let's just look up mouse food. Embedded graphics backend for Ratatouille. Awesome. Great. So this has an okay frame rate. The frame rate on this is not bad. I'm not looking for a super smooth frame rate, to be honest. And I mean, okay, dude, if that's the case, why don't I just write a Ratatouille application on desktop directly? I'll write a Ratatouille application. I'll add in a crate um, that can analyze the audio signal and present it in a way that can be used for VFX. And then I'll use that to animate various things in Ratatouille. I want to see if there are examples. Okay, Ratatouille art. Let me look that up. Ratatouille Rust art. I want to see if they've given any examples. Though, honestly, I was excited to uh, try doing this on an embedded device, do like the entire calculation and set up the entire like VTuber model on an embedded device. You know what? This is actually pretty great. Scope TUI, a simple oscilloscope, vector scope, spectroscope for your terminal. That's interesting. And then there's Rebels in the Sky. Is this a game? P2P terminal game about space pirates. All right, this is what I was looking for. This is definitely what I was looking for. So if I use Ratatouille, if I explore Ratatouille, um, I will hopefully be able to set something up in the terminal, and then the entire VTuber model can be terminal based, right? And then later on, I could use, wait, they're mentioning building embedded TUIs with Rust. Is this using Ratatouille directly, or is it using Mousefoot? I'm curious about that. Hold on. Actually, let's not do that here. I'll look into this. I'll look into this later on. Yeah. I'm gonna look into this. We might be exploring Ratatouille again. Yeah, yeah. We might be exploring Ratatouille again. Okay, dude, you know what? I've spent like a good like 1 hour of this stream just yapping about a whole bunch of different things. Let's get into Godot. Um, I'm gonna open up my browser. Let me just make sure everything is fine here. Yes, okay. Okay. Um, let's copy that. Let's copy that. Okay, all right. Now, where were we? Give me a second. Let me just scroll up here. We were in the five something, right? Yeah, the five main screens. Okay. There are five main screens. I think we finished this already. I think so. I don't remember. Asset library. Yep, yep. We are done with this. There's a scripting side which we are not going to be using, but I have used this in the past. So they have their own like script editor built into the editor itself. Like they have a scripting panel, and there's like a whole scripting. It's like a proper IDE built right into the Godot editor. There's IntelliSense, and I believe debugging is also done through this. So like um, if you are using GD script, then there's pretty decent integration of the language with the editor. So there's a lot of advantages. I keep hitting this key. There's a lot of advantages to this. In our case, so we're going to be using Rust. Okay, let's read from the start. There are five main feature screens. No, there are five main screens. Where did I read the word feature? Anyways, okay. There are five main screen buttons centered at the top of the editor: 2D, 3D, script, game, and asset library. You'll use the 2D screens for all types of games. In addition to 2D games, the 2D screen is where you'll build your interfaces. Okay. In the 3D screen, you can work with meshes, lights, and design levels for 3D games. Okay. Then game screen. This is where your project will appear when running. Okay, I need to look into how I can get the thing to be displayed here, because for me it comes out. It doesn't. What is this? Embedded game size is based on project settings. The keep aspect mode is used when the game workspace is smaller than the desired size. Okay. Keep the aspect ratio of the embedded game. Embedded game size stretches to fit the game workspace. Let's try this, and let's try hitting play. Nope, still not doing it. It's still not doing it. Uh, so you guys can't see what's in the. Okay, what about now? Nope, nope. Okay, I think we are back. Yeah, my USB to Ethernet adapter slipped and basically moved, so it disconnected, and then the stream disconnected. But fortunately, it reconnected back before disconnect protection ran out. Today is just not going well. Holy shit. Today is just not, it's, man, it is just not going well today. Anyways, let me try asking Gemini, because I remember Godot, the devs were planning a feature where where the game view would be embedded within the editor itself. They did mention that there would be some caveats to that, or maybe some changes that need to be made, or something like that. But this was a couple of years ago. By now, they've probably made some progress with that as well. So let me look that up. Okay, hey, I'm using Godot. When I hit F6 to render the scene, or to play, let's say, play the scene, it opens up in a new window rather than in the game screen of the Godot editor. Okay, it's a common point of confusion. What you're seeing, the game popping up in its own window, is actually the default behavior in Godot. Unlike some other engines like Unity or Unreal, that default that default to an internal or docked viewport, Godot launches a separate process for your game. This is generally preferred because it keeps the editor's performance separate from the game's performance and allows for multi-monitor setups. Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, yeah, true. Because in Godot, you can actually update your scene, um, like while, how do I say this? You can update your scene while the game is running, and it updates in the game as well. I don't know what the limitations are, but at the very least, moving nodes around, it does update the scene. Okay, however, if you want to change how it feels or looks, here's a breakdown of the options. The embedded mode. While Godot doesn't have a game view tab that you can drag around like a window dock by default, you can force the game window to stay on top or behave differently through project settings. That is not what I was looking for. Adjusting the window placement. Okay, so have they not implemented that feature, or does Gemini not know if they've implemented the feature? Hold on. Godot game view. Game view in editor. Okay, run the game in the viewport. A second playback functionality allowing you to play the game so and so, so and so, so and so. Can I see the game running in the editor view, not as a compiled so and so? Okay. So these two are from 2024. Let's see what responses we got. Work in progress in editor playback. This is from 2017. Let's see if there's any progress made on this. All right, all right. Okay, 2017, 2017, 2018, 2018, and uh okay, I'll be closing this PR given time passed and the technical infeasibility to do this. So this was back in 2018, to be fair. There might be some progress on this now. Running code in the editor. Um, okay. You know what? I think I need to look for this. Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna have to. Wait, how to activate the new game tab in Godot 4.4? I'm on 4.5 on this machine and 4.6 in the other machine. Okay, did you manage to find out yet? Okay, okay, can you show a screenshot of your window? Since neither of you specify what OS you are on, I just wanted to remind you that the new game tab isn't there for Mac OS. Okay, That person's on Windows 11. I'm on Linux. You are not running beta 1. You're running dev 3. And that was Jan 2025. So Game Tab, aka the biggest 4.4 feature, that one thing that would justify putting up with the terrible UID thingy, only works on Windows and Linux. When are they aiming to support it anytime soon? No, hold on. So I have this, but it's still not working for me. Make game workspace floating on next play. Okay, let me disable that and now try. You're joking, dude. You've got to be kidding me. Okay, so F6 is to run the current scene. F8 is to stop it. So this is what the scene looks like. Is that is not showing up on stream. I just realized that. Let's reopen. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we close this and run it. That's interesting. Is it not showing up on stream? Why am I just seeing a gray screen there? Hold on, give me a second. I need to. That's so odd, dude. That is. Oh, is it still counting as a different window? Could that be it? Because it's saying that the game view is being embedded, right? So maybe it's still counting as like a separate process. And so it's a separate window that needs to be captured. Let me open up OBS and see if there's another window that it. Oh shit! I shouldn't have done that. Okay. Well, anyways. Godot debug. Okay, so there's two options here. So we have this one. Let's try sharing this. Yep, yep. There are two separate windows. One is for the editor, and the other is for the game view. I mean, you know what? I'll take it. Sure. It sucks that I can't see it on. I can't see it in the. Wait. Okay. Okay. So, F6, F8. Okay. All right. Awesome. Yeah. It sucks that it doesn't show up on stream. All you guys see is a gray box, but I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I can try setting up something. Yeah, I can try setting up something that'll pop up somewhere else. I don't know if it's worth it though. I don't know if it's gonna put like an unnecessary load on the system. Yeah, I can look into it later on. For now, it's not really that important because there's still quite a lot to explore in the engine itself. We are not really doing something right now that would constantly require me to be able to show a working game view. Okay, so the game screen is where your project will appear when running it from the editor. You can go through your project and test it. You can go through your project to test it and pause it and adjust it in real time. Note that this is for testing how adjustments work. Any changes made here are not saved when the game stops running. Okay, I was mistaken when I said that you're able to change. I mean, you are able to change. You're able to, in like during runtime, you're able to change things in the scene. And when you go back to the game view, those changes are reflected. But yeah, it turns out that those changes don't get saved. But there was a thing where changes did get saved. I can't remember where that's from, or maybe I read something else and I'm remembering wrong now. I don't know. Okay, the split screen. No, the script screen. The script. That is so hard to say. The script screen is a complete code editor with a debugger, rich auto completion, and built-in code reference. Okay, cool, awesome. Finally, the asset library is a library of free and open source add-ons, scripts, and assets to use in your projects. Great. Integrated class reference. Godot comes with a built-in class reference. You can search for information about any class, method, property, constant, or signal by any of the following methods. Okay, awesome. Great. Oh, hold on. Um, Actually, I was about to skip over this because I'm not using GD script. However, GD script is not going to be the only situation where, you know, the need for looking at class references arises. Like maybe I might just want to look at, maybe this could be also used for reading the docs of a node. You can search for information about a class, method, property, constant, or signal. Actually, I could read I could read this class reference information and then translate it to Rust. So it's still going to be useful for me. Okay, clicking the search help button in the top right of the script main screen. Okay. Then clicking on the help menu and search help. Okay. What pops up here? Great. Awesome. Wait, yeah, that's not showing up on stream, right? Okay, a separate window popped up, which says search help, and in here I can search for. Let's look at, I guess, one of the ones that I've used. Let's look at Mesh Instance 3D, and that opens up over here. Wait, this is interesting. What am I looking at right now? Oh, we are in the script tab. Okay, okay. So I am still probably going to be using the script tab, just not specifically for scripts. It could be for looking at looking up the docs. Yeah, I should keep that in mind. I should definitely keep that in mind. And I like the fact that they have like a built-in search thing. So if I hit F1 and then within that search help window, let's say I type node 2D. I wait, node 2D and open. That opens up here. This gives all of the information on node 2D, all of like the description and the various properties and methods and all of that. Great. Awesome. Oh, we can also look up rendering server, I guess. Rendering device, rendering server. Open that up. Great. Holy shit, dude. Server for anything visible. The rendering server is the API backend for everything visible. I remember at one point when I was doing research on doing creative coding in Godot, the rendering server thing did pop up because I think it just gives you more control over what you want to draw onto the screen. I don't know in what way though, because if it's just about drawing directly on the screen, I think you could achieve that through 2D as well, because in 2D you're essentially drawing in pixel space, right? But I mean, okay, there could be limitations to that. Maybe that's the reason. Yeah, there could be limitations to that. Give me a second. Okay. Um, right. What's the next method? Control click on a class name, function name, or built-in variable in the script editor. On a class name, function name, or built-in variable in the script editor. I wonder if I could do that here. Yeah, no, I don't think that's working for these things. I think that's mainly for a script. So like within an actual script, I could do that. Additionally, maybe I could do it here. Oh, okay. Well, this wasn't control click though, to be fair. This is just an actual link that they've provided for convenience. So I can click it and it'll take me to Node. Let me close this. Okay, let's click on transform. Transform 2D. Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on. When you do any of these, a window pops up. Type to search for any of them. You can also use it to browse available objects and methods. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Double click on an item to open the corresponding page in the script main screen. Okay. Done. Yep. Alternatively, clicking while pressing Control on a class name so and so, so and so, so and so. Right clicking on nodes and choosing Open Documentation. Okay, let's try that with Camera 3D. I'm having some trouble reading this. Oh, there it is. Man, okay, so I'm going to be spending more time in the script panel than I thought. I was assuming that the script panel is mainly used for scripting, but I'd forgotten that even docs show up in the script panel, which is actually really useful if you think about it. It's incredibly useful to be able to view all of this information right within the editor and not have to like switch over to a browser just so you can read this information. I mean, they do have the option here, like open in online docs. I'm assuming that's going to open up the website thing. But like, imagine how useful it is to be able to just view all of this information from within the editor itself. Okay, or choosing lookup symbol for elements in the script editor will directly open their documentation. All right, cool. So we are done with this page. Now we move on to the next thing. Okay, learning new features. Godot is a feature-rich game engine. There's a lot to learn about it. Give me a second. Okay. Also, how am I switching between these Godot switch view or switch screen. Okay, this is being a little bit slow. Are we dropping frames? No, we're not. Okay, we are good. Okay, switching. Oh, it's just F1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that's F. That's okay. Nope, that doesn't. In Godot, switching by sounds. Toggle multiple viewport layouts using Control 1 through 4. Okay, what does F2 do? Nope, F2, F3. Not. It's not doing what. Change scenes manually. Using viewports. Good afternoon, Zaynar. Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. How's it going? We are currently exploring Godot. We are learning how to use Godot and um, mainly doing stuff in the editor right now. This time, I'm gonna be approaching Godot using Rust. So for scripting, instead of GD script, we're going to be using Rust. Once we get to the scripting part, that is, we haven't gotten to that part just yet. But for now, I'm just learning. I'm learning my way around the editor. Give me a second here. I should look at this in here. Okay. We are getting really close to the step by step. The step by step is where we start actually, building stuff in the editor. And then at some point in step by step, we're going to be doing scripting, which is here. Create your first script. So once we get to this part, this is where I'm going to start. Um, Give me a second. This was the renderers thing. I need to open up. This is viewports, which is good because I was actually going to be looking for this. Where is the Rust thing? We were supposed to have a Rust Hello World page, which I think I closed. So give me a second. Let me open that up. But yeah, once we get to the scripting part, that's when it's going to be. What are we making with Godot? Some gaming stuff. So okay, I have a couple of ideas for things that I want to do with Godot. One of them is gaming. Another is there's a project that I wanted to work on. There's actually a couple of projects that I wanted to work on that involve some sort of rendering. They need some sort of rendering. One of them is like it's a graphing application that's gonna how do I describe? So I was planning on working on this tool that um, creates a real-time graph of topics of the entire conversation that you're having, and it's going to keep track of where you branched out, and so you can then use this tool in case if you are like me and you kind of branch out a lot while you're talking about stuff and then you forget what you were initially talking about, you will then be able to look at this graph and go back to, whatever previous topic you were talking about. That's one of the ideas that I have. The ADHD tracker. You know what? Yeah, yeah. I might just call it that or something similar to that because yeah, yeah. That's kind of that's one of the that's something that I do very often. Um, so I need to build this tool. There's going to be quite a bit of research that goes into this because there's multiple aspects to it. There's the Godot side, which is the rendering. Then there's the Rust side, which is where the actual like graphing and what else? How was I gonna use Vosk? I was gonna use Vosk to I was going to use Vosk for automatic speech recognition because it uses deep learning methods that are much lighter than any of the transformer based models, and so I can use it for real time automatic speech recognition and have like very instant feedback, whereas doing it doing it using transformer based models, while I might get good quality results, it's also going to take a very long time because transformer based models tend to be heavy and I'm looking for like instantaneous feedback. And after I get the ASR, after the ASR is done and the transcript is generated, then I'm going to apply various NLP techniques to this transcript to then process it into information that can be used to generate the graph. Um, I see you have some Qt projects sitting there. Have you considered that for rendering? Qt projects, where? Oh, um, yeah, I haven't touched Qt in a long time. Oh, this is my I need to be careful with this. Holy shit. Um, this is temp data. Yeah, these are config files. These are config files. And the Qt thing is I think I think it's automatically generated. In this case, for rendering, I'm mainly going to be using Godot. Godot is going to handle all of the rendering, and I'm just going to be setting things up like within Godot luckily using Rust. But yeah, all of my stuff is going to be it's going to be done through Godot. Yeah, it gets used a lot for UI elements. Yeah, I think in the past um, I'd explored Qt, and I think I'd also explored SDL for a short amount of time. Uh, I don't remember. There was another framework that I was looking into. I didn't go too deep into it though. I didn't go too deep into it. But yeah, okay. So we're gonna. This is the. Hold on. So we're gonna go to book, and basically what they've done is um, they've created a version of that create your first script tutorial, and pretty much you follow along. You study that alongside this in order to learn how to do Godot with Rust. Where's the hello world example? Here. Yeah. So this is what I was talking about. So this mentions this page shows you how to develop your own small extension library and load it from Godot. The tutorial is heavily inspired by create your first script from the official Godot documentation. We recommend to follow that alongside this tutorial in case you're interested how certain GD script concepts map to Rust. Let's do it then. Interested to see it come to life. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for this because I've explored Godot in the past using GD script, but I haven't explored it using Rust. And it should be an interesting experience because this time I'm going to be doing all of the coding for the logic and stuff using Rust. So now I'm actually going to be using Rust in like a game dev sort of context, game dev slash graphics programming sort of context. Where was I? I was here. Okay. So Godot is a feature-rich game engine. There is a lot to learn about it. This page explains how you can use the online manual, built-in code references, and join online join online communities to learn new features and techniques. Okay, making the most of this manual. What you are reading now is the user manual. It documents each of the engine's concepts and available features. When learning a new topic, you can start by browsing the corresponding section of this website. The left menu shows you the left menu allows you to explore broad topics, while the search bar will help you find more specific pages. If a page exists for a given theme, it will often link to more related content. The manual has a companion class reference that explains each Godot class's available functions and so and so. The manual. So they're talking about this manual, but then they're showing this screenshot here. Okay, we recommend browsing the reference offline. From within the Godot editor. To do so, go to help, so and so, so and so. Okay, all right, great. To browse it online, head to the manual's class reference section. A class references page tells you where the class exists in the inheritance hierarchy. You can click the top links to jump to the parent classes and see the properties and methods a type inherits. All right. A summary of the class's role and use cases and so and so, so and so. Okay. Learning to think like a programmer. Teaching programming foundations and how to think like a game developer is beyond the scope of Godot's documentation. If you're new to programming, we recommend two excellent free resources. Okay. Learning with the community. Godot has a growing community. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. You know what? Great. Awesome. Cool. Godot's design philosophy. Now that you've gotten your feet wet, let's talk about Godot's design. Every game engine is different and fits different needs. Not only do they offer a range of features, but the design of each engine is unique. This leads to different workflows and different ways to form your game structures. Okay. This all stems from their perspective. This all stems from their respective design philosophies. This page is here to help you understand how Godot works, starting with some of its core pillars. It's not a list of available features, nor is it an engine comparison. To know if any engine can be a good fit for your project, you need to try it out for yourself and understand its design and limitations. Watch Godot explained in 7 minutes if you're looking for an overview of the engine's features. I might look at this later on off stream. Okay, object-oriented design and composition. Godot embraces object-oriented design at its core and its flexible scene system and node hierarchy. With its flexible scene system and node hierarchy. It tries to stay away from strict programming patterns to offer an intuitive way to structure your game. For one, Godot lets you compose or aggregate scenes. It's like nested prefabs. You can create a blinking light scene and a broken lantern scene that uses the blinking light, then create a city filled with broken lanterns, change the blinking light's color, save, and all the broken lanterns in the city will update instantly. On top of that, you can inherit from any scene. A Godot scene can be a weapon, a character, an item, a door, a level, part of a level, anything you'd like. It works like a class in pure code, except you're free to design it by using the editor using only the code. No, hold on. Except you're free to design it by using the editor using only the code or mixing and matching the two. Okay, all right. Okay. Now I get it. You're free to okay. It works like a class in pure code, except you're free to design it by using the editor or by using only code or mixing both the editor and the code. That's what they were trying to say. Okay. It's different from prefabs you find in several 3D engines, as you can inherit from those as you can inherit from and extend those scenes. Dude, I need to zoom in. I'm having trouble reading this. You may create also, can I like close this? No, I can't close it. Okay. It's different from prefabs in several 3D engines, as you can then inherit from and extend those scenes. You may create a magician that extends your character, modify the character in the editor, and the magician will update as well. It helps you build your projects so that their structure matches the game's design. Okay, so we have character, which has weight, move, and jump. Okay, and then you have a wizard, which would inherit those attributes. But additionally, each of these, so wizard and warrior will have their own attributes, but they also inherit from the parent. Okay, the parent or the base class, whatever. Also note that Godot offers many different types of objects called nodes, each with a specific purpose. Nodes are part of a tree and always inherit from their parents up to the node class. Okay, although the engine does feature some nodes like collision shapes that a parent physics body will use, most nodes work um, independently from one another. In other words, Godot's nodes do not work like components in some other game engines. Okay, that is good to keep in mind. Yes, okay. That is good to keep in mind that each of these nodes, they have their own specific types of behaviors. That being said, can we like extend a node's behavior? I don't think I've ever tried that, because okay, if we compare this to Unity, in Unity you have a scene, right? Within a scene, you can create game objects, and those game objects are essentially containers for components. So like you can select a game object in the scene, and if you look in the inspector panel, there's going to be a transform component and then a bunch of other components that actually make this game object what it is. So like if it's um, if it's a point light game object, then you'll have a transform component, which all game objects usually have. But then you'll also have a light you'll have not game object. You'll also have a light component on it, so you can like specify what type of light it is and specify different like properties of the light. If it's a box, if it's a cube, then that game object is going to have a transform component and I think there was a mesh filter component. Then there's a mesh renderer component. Additionally, to the mesh renderer, you would be attaching a material, and then that material has like a shader attached to it as well. So that gives this cube its rendering capabilities. So I need to see if a node in Godot can be extended. And okay, so in Godot we have this thing, add metadata. So I need to look into what exactly this does, and like what can you add in terms of, actually let me try clicking that. Metadata name cannot be empty. Oh, this is just these are like individual types that I'm adding. This is not like an extra component. Hmm. Okay. I can explore this. I can explore this later. All right. Okay. Um, you know what? I'm gonna actually I don't know if I'll continue reading this now or continue reading this in the next stream just so we can, get started with the step by step thing. Maybe I might finish reading this entire thing and then in the next stream we're gonna do the step by step because there's quite a bit of things to do in there as well. But I do have, oh, accidentally hit my mic stand. Yeah, I do have some other stuff to get done off stream, so I'm gonna try and finish all of that. But yeah, you know what? That's going to be it for today's stream. I don't think I'm going to be raiding anyone because I have some stuff to do. Zanar, thank you very much for stopping by and hanging out. Um, yeah, yeah. Oh, to answer your question, I mean, how badly do you need the background before diving in? I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I would just prefer to read the information and then proceed with it. Besides, I'm almost done with this last section, Godot design philosophy. After that, we move into the practical stuff, which is step by step. And that's when we start actually doing stuff to set things up, set up a scene, set up nodes, and do all custom logic. Once we get to this section, which is creating your first script, that's when I need to remember to open up the Rust Godot manual so I can do both of them side by side and use Rust for the scripting instead of GD script. But yeah, that being said, I'm gonna end the stream here. I don't think I'm gonna raid anyone today because I have some stuff to do. Um, but yeah, yeah. Zanar, once again, thank you very much for stopping by and hanging out and chatting. Anyone else who might have been lurking in the chat, thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys have a nice day.